introduction.
Sure.
Just housekeeping stuff. Okay, so my name is Jonathan Mercier. I'm a prevention worker here at KICS Promotion Education. My coworker who is helping out at the community consultation is also the same position, Christine Taylor. So that's where she is today. So Tehontatro is a regular, reoccurring monthly information sharing series that happens monthly, the last Thursday of every month, with the exception of December, July, and August, because people are away and it's hard to get people to present. You know, people are on vacations and different schedules and everything. But other than that, every last Thursday of every month, expect it. And it's usually 10:30 to 12, but this we accommodate if we have longer presentations, we can accommodate that. So there are evaluation forms on your chairs. That's for our purposes. Just about how you found the information series session. And if you have any future topics that you want to see covered, if you know contact information is helpful, if you want to bring someone in to share information on something, just fill it out at the bottom. And also they have Walgwan Center brought their little handout of their QR code. I have it at the back also, but it's for a survey we're asking people to fill out to help give them more information on how to better provide service to the community members. So that's what this is for. And they are doing community engagement like circuit right now, like he mentioned. Jonathan mentioned they were in Dersadage, Abzasne, now they're here. They're going to be at Ganawage Collective Impact later this evening. So they're making their rounds to engage community members in discussion on how to better provide services. So we have Jonathan here, Cheryl, and Dwayne. And I'll let them speak more about the center and explain the services they provide. And thank you for coming. And
thank you for having us.
We look forward to hopefully working in collaboration in the future.
That's our hope too.
Thank you.
So my name is Jonathan Mercier. I've been working at Walgwan for going on 5 years now. I am one of the youth educator there. I have Cheryl that'll be taking notes, and Dwayne, they work with me too as attendants with the youth. So just to let you know, I'm a little bit nervous talking groups, but once I get going, I get going. So yeah, we're going all across the province in every community. Just to give you an idea, our director, Pamela Sherlong, she's in the community of Kawawa in that area. And we had groups going in Cree communities. I'm going in March 13th, if all goes well, to Matawan, Wendake, Tree Rivers, and Joliette to meet First Nation youth families and health services also. And other people from Walgwan are also going out. So a little bit about Walgwan before I start. I'll show you a quick little video about it, and then we'll start.
The diversity of our youth, the nations we serve, and the approaches we take to help the youth along their healing journey. along the banks of the Grand Cascapedia River, in the heart of the Bay of Chaleur on the Gaspé Peninsula. Here, the youth will be encouraged to find connections to the land, Mother Earth, as well as the spirituality and culture, which are essential tools on their journey to recovery for themselves, their families, and their communities. Our mission is to support, engage, and empower each Indigenous youth who seeks help in their personal journey to sustained, holistic, culturally rooted well-being and a healthy lifestyle. Throughout their treatment program, youth are encouraged to participate in various activities: crafts, songs, music, sports, nature outings, meditation, and land-based activities. Traditional ceremonies are an integral part of our programs at Walgwan. They are held every morning and evening, each day of the week, as the youth needs or requests, and following the end of each phase of the program. The regular ceremonies include purification, the sweat lodge, talking and sharing circles, the sunrise ceremony, solstice and equinox celebrations. In our greenhouse, the dome, we grow traditional medicines and natural medicines, as well as healthy foods, which are important parts of our life at Walgwan. Teachings and knowledge from elders about these plants and medicines are shared with the youth. The harvests are used in ceremony and everyday healthy meals served at the Walgwan. The Walgwan is more than just a place. It is an experience which is centered on hope, meaning, purpose, and belonging, which is based on the traditional knowledge and teachings of the Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island.
So that's a little bit about us. Thank you. So Walgwan has been established in 1996 in the community of Gaspé, and it first came out because of the solvent abuse crisis in those years, and it has evolved over time. We're funded through the NISAP, National Youth Solvent Abuse Program, and our mission is we have 12 beds that we could have 12 youth come in from 12 to 17 from all First Nations and Inuit communities across the province of Quebec. We are the only co-ed bilingual program in eastern Quebec for residential care. Again, we're also located in the community of Gaspé on the Mi'kmaq territory. So we offer a full spectrum of services. We have short-term services also, outpatient prevention services, virtual services, and this is where virtual services came about during COVID. And it's still an ongoing thing that we're learning more, and we're wanting to know if certain communities are interested of doing virtual care with some youth, if they cannot come to us. And we also offer aftercare for up to 2 years, and obviously community visits on demand if needed. So we have over 25 years of experience at Walgwan. And our mission and our vision that we really are proud of doing, and so we empower, engage, that's our vision, and responsibilize the Indigenous youth fully in control of their well-being and in their lives, and contributing to their well-being of their families and communities. So that's our vision, but our mission for each youth is to make sure that we engage and support and empower them. And that's a big thing that we're really focused on, is empowering our youth in our communities and in their personal journey to sustain holistic, culturally rooted well-being and healthy fulfillment life. Now, for our program for each youth, it is individualized. Yes, it's a group session, and our wellness care plan that we do with the youth, that I sit down with each youth, is tailored to their needs. So that's why it's important for us, hopefully this evening when we meet in certain youth in your community, to have discussions with them on their needs, and also so that way we could better help them. So our team, we're composed of a diverse team of more than, again, 25 years of experience and over 25 staff. We have support workers, educators, that's what I am right now, I'm an educator. We have youth counselors. I also do a bit of youth counseling with certain youth. We have a teacher on staff, psychologists on staff, addiction specialists, coordinators, cultural wellness mentor, and elders. We saw a bit in the video, one of our Elder Donna Jerome, which we're really happy to have on our team. He does also the Sundances in the community, so he shares his knowledge so much to us and to the youth. We also have cooks on staff, technical support, administration, and everybody plays a huge role, even the custodian, which we were talking about just before we came. He wants to help the youth to better their hygiene. Sometimes they come in difficult families or situations, and their hygiene is sometimes lacking. To teach them, proper hygiene, even if it's just cleaning a floor. So he really wants to invest his time with the youth with that, which I found was great. Not just cleaning our building, but actually getting involved with the youth. So for us, culture is our foundation, but we want to put even more culture. We're actually looking at all of our workshops that we do. We found it very linear, and the youth sitting down in front of a board tends to not reach them, so we're working on reorganizing all that right now, because we want to make sure that we give that purpose, hope, belonging to each youth and meaning. So our day, what it looks like, the youth wake up, they eat their breakfast, they clean their rooms, we help them out with that, and then we do a morning ceremony to see how their night was. We have sharing circles, sweat lodges every week, and that's something that our Donna has really worked hard on, teaching the youth, to teach them what sweat lodges are about, to take the time, not to make them just jump in, because not every youth wants to attend a sweat lodge, or there's a fear in there and unknown. So he really takes his time. Like, just an example, in the first week of their at their stay, they come in the sweat, they sit down, they talk, they close the doors afterwards, so to make the youth comfortable, because sometimes there's fear of claustrophobic and whatnot. So I gave them praise on that. We have arts and crafts every day. It's a relaxation too for them at the same time when they're going through difficult emotional things with their counselors. We do medicine walks. The youth learn about all the medicines, making medicines, drum making, basket making. We have community members that come and show the youth how to make baskets. Sensory activities, land-based activities. This is where we're starting. More and more land-based. We always did, but it was mostly like nature walks, hiking, because we have beautiful mountains in the Gaspé Park and rivers and stuff. And we started fishing a bit, and we bring ask community members to bring the youth to go moose hunting. But we want to incorporate that more. So we're happy that we're granted a section near the 299, near the Grand Cascapedia River, where we could build something there for the youth, so they could, and the families, to come trapping, hunting, fishing, canoeing, hiking, kayaking. So that's something that we're really working hard on to incorporate even more. So our program is made up of 4 phases, which I'll talk a bit about just in a few slides. So we do a send-off ceremony. Well, each phase we do a ceremony, but in the last ceremony we do the send-off ceremony with Donna, which he uses the blanket ceremony. And we have our in-house program. Currently, right now, it's 14 weeks long. But it can be tailored to shorter weeks. And this is what we want to talk with the youth, because we noticed since COVID that 14 weeks felt longer for them. We noticed at 8 or 10 weeks, they're at their peak of what they wanted to work on. If you could just imagine, in '96, the program was 6 months long. So we see that the youth want more instant gratification, the feeling. That's my opinion, and I could be wrong. That's why we want to talk to the youth and their families. But a lot of youth do take the 14 weeks to take time for their healing. So each youth and family member is significant. We have a wellness plan for each section that we work on: their physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. It's tailored to their needs again. It's up to them. They decide what they want to work on, and we guide them on their journey. We have family circles. Now, we used to have families come to us for a stay to visit their child. But since COVID, it was kind of difficult, but we did adapt with our Zoom. So we do it three to 4 times. But the family is really involved. Every time there's something, we call them up, we talk to the family, this is what's going on with your youth, and they help us out too to better help their child. We have an outpatient that obviously during COVID it was postponed, but we're picking it back up. And we're really happy about redoing our outpatient services. So it's a virtual program right now that we're building and learning how to do it more and more. So, and that's something we want to know with your community, if that's can be interesting to certain youth, if they are uncomfortable or shy to come to us, they can do virtual. And if the need is there, then they can maybe come to us and stay at the center. We offer aftercare, which we contact the youth and the family to do a family circle at 1 month, 3 months, 6, 9, 12, 18, and 24 for their post-treatment. And to do either face-to-face if they're not too far from us, or if they're in a further community, to do it through the internet with Zoom. Obviously, that's our go-to right now. So the 4 phases are based on the spiritual animal, and in the past it was to evaluate where the youth is at and if they succeeded or not. Now we evaluate what are they succeeding on, even if it's not everything that we're looking at. Small success goes a long way. So for us, the coyote phase, it's the introduction, it's the beginning. You know, it represents the youth's vigilance and curiosity upon arriving. It's the phase of awakening to a new environment and to adapt. It is very difficult for them. It's their withdrawal phase too. So that's the time for us to congratulate them on coming to us and encourage them. So once we see that even if they have a hard time adapting, that they're still trying their best that they can do, we do a ceremony saying you did a great job in the past 2 weeks. You're now going to be in the wolf phase. And this wolf phase is creating an emotional attachment. This is where we're working on the beginning, how you're feeling, how you're emotionally are at this moment in time in your life, and starting to work with families with them. And obviously we know it can be difficult with certain youth not having a good connection with their family, or foster care, or being completely separated in youth centers. But we try our best to try to at least put a seed in that to rekindle it. The biggest phase is the beaver phase, which is many weeks. So for us, like the coyote phase is 2 weeks, the wolf phase is about 3 weeks, and then the rest is beaver, and eagle is about two weeks. So the beaver is hardworking. We're going to look at how hard is the youth working on themselves. What are they working on? What are they building? What tools are they using? Are they actually using the coping tools that we're giving to them? You know, what's his effort? What's his self-esteem at? How is he adapting to his change? What are his obstacles that he needs to overcome? So we really work hard there. And the eagle phase is where we're doing his preparation for his or her. I keep saying he, and I'm sorry, I should say others, but the eagle phase is his or her harm reduction plan, his home plan, what's going to happen once he leaves the center. You know, if he's going to go back to a youth center, what's going to happen there? Can we help him out to make sure that he's comfortable at where he's going to be, make sure the youth is safe, and to ensure that his aftercare will be done properly. So that's another big part. And again, we do a ceremony near our bear grounds, near our sweat lodge, and to empower that youth on every step of the way. Oh, so let me just, before I start this section, I'll show you a quick other video of our 20th anniversary, which, we'll pause it right now. So our logo changed. As you see, I'm wearing the old one, and you might see on our website, we just changed it. So that's no longer the same logo, but this was our 20th anniversary that happened 5.5 years ago. So I started 5 years ago, so I arrived like right after this, and I wish I was there, but you'll hear a bit about the chief at the time, and hopefully this sounds good there when he talks, but the most important part, I believe and I feel, is the past youth experience, how they felt. To give you an example, we had in the last 5 years 2 workers that were clients of ours in the past. We actually have one person, her name is Mona, and she's from the Innu territories, and she is an educator and a cultural advisor now, and she used to be one of the clients of Walgwan. So that's always great to see. Thank you.
engage and empower each Indigenous youth who seeks to help in his or her personal journey to sustained, holistic, and culturally rooted well-being and a healthy life. We achieve this with full respect for the dignity, value, and safety of each person.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to the event, this very important event for Walgwan, our 20 years in service. So happy that all of you are here to join us in celebrating this event.
Health Canada didn't tell us that they were going to build centers anywhere, and then we got into it. And the funny part of it is, when I got the letter, I was the chief at the time, I threw it in the garbage. Because I had to look at all the communities that were involved in it, or that were trying to get it, like the big reserves. And I said, no way in hell we're going to get this. But fortunately, my janitor didn't show up that same night, so the next morning I started back out and I worked on it. And this is how it came about.
My name is Trevor Allen. I attended the center in 2000. Then the 6-week program, 6-month program rather. It was first coming to the center. I was in a low place in my life and didn't have any direction onto where I could go and where to I can improve the bad habits that I had at the time. But after being here at the center, I've been going through all the programs and having the one-on-one with the counselors, the sweat lodges, and the interaction with the other clients. I was put into the right direction and learned a lot of things onto looking at all the positive things in life. And after, I can say, since doing the program, I've been doing very well. I currently have a full-time position working 12 hours, control room operator in Boise, Spain, Labrador. And I have three children, 3 girls. I couldn't thank this place enough, and I would most certainly forward it on to others to go through the program.
My name is Leon Joseph Denny, 23, I'm from Ilzabuktuk, and I was here about 10 years ago. I just feels good to be back. Summers where, like your life changed and seeing like the people who helped change your life. My journey was almost the same from when I left, but it was better because I had the tools. Like I accepted things more. I wasn't so negative. They helped me be positive. They helped me get out of my little bubble. I had recently graduated school, actually. It was a struggle, but I did it after 5 years, and I'm now accepted into the Atlantic Flight Attendant Academy, and I start that in September. The message for the youth would be to listen to the workers and respect them because they're the ones who are going to change your life.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Rico Belmont. Je suis un ancien du centre Walgwan. Je suis venu il y a à peu près 12 ans. J'avais 13 ans à l'époque. Aujourd'hui, j'ai 25 ans. C'est un centre qui a quand même changé beaucoup ma manière de voir les choses parce que quand j'étais venu ici d'avant, j'étais une personne qui était quand même très anti-autoritaire et j'avais des problèmes de drogue, surtout avec la marijuana. Ça a changé beaucoup mon point de vue sur le côté spirituel et l'acceptation d'être un autochtone dans le fond. C'est un centre qui a beaucoup aidé dans mon cheminement personnel dans la vie aussi. Aujourd'hui, je suis acteur, j'ai eu pas mal de chance dans mon parcours, mais je prends toutes les chances que je peux avoir. Le message, c'est de croire en tous vos rêves, quitte à voir si c'est quasiment impossible à réaliser, il y a toujours quelque chose dans la vie qui va t'arriver pour te rappeler dans le fond qui tu es, puis où est-ce que tu vas, puis toujours se tourner vers nos enseignements ancestraux aussi.
Après ici, là, hier, j'étais vraiment excitée, j'avais hâte, je revivais un moment que quand je suis rentrée ici la première fois, Après les années, tu sais, j'ai connu l'alcool, j'ai consommé, puis à un moment donné, là, j'ai décidé que c'était assez, que ce que je vivais, c'était assez. Fait que j'ai décidé de venir ici pour pouvoir changer ça. J'ai rejeté après, mais j'ai eu beaucoup d'outils pour être capable de me ressortir de ça, de ne pas continuer dans cette voie-là, puis vraiment, là, j'ai connu la paix ici. La façon que je mène ma vie, là, présentement, je suis vraiment heureuse. Puis jamais je me suis sentie de même avant, puis j'ai la paix dans ma vie. J'ai vraiment mettre de la douceur dans votre vie aussi. Prenez la chance de venir ici, c'est vraiment là. Prenez la chance, c'est vraiment la plus belle place que j'ai connue. Les montagnes, la mer. Tu peux pas, tu as une deuxième famille ici. Tu retrouves là, vraiment là, ce que tu as manqué avant, tu le retrouves ici.
Empowered and engaged Indigenous youth fully in control of their well-being and their lives, and contributing to the well-being of their families and communities.
So before, a big part of the reason why we're here is not only to introduce and talk about Walgwan, and we're just seeing past youth that are now adults, how they feel. And for us, every time we see a person succeed that came to us is gratifying. Even if it's out of 10, we can only save one, that one is important. And just surprisingly, one of our colleagues met a youth that I remember. I saw him on our Facebook, and he was going through a very, very hard time, and now he's actually helping out at school, and he changed his life. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, it's so great. So before we start the discussions that I'd like to do with you, do you have any questions before we start? Yes?
Is it, to attend the program, is it like on a volunteer basis? Or, like obviously you're not gonna prefer having people brought there against their will, but there has to be some level of...
It's on a volunteer basis. And in the past, sometimes it does happen that it wasn't. But our doors are, we're a semi-closed center. Obviously, the first few weeks, the youth cannot leave the center unless they choose to. But to go outside and walk on the grounds for safety reasons, because we do have like AWOLs and things like that, like any other center. But most of the time they accept that. It does happen, but when they come back, we treat them with respect, and we talk about the situation, what's the reason behind this, the situation that happened, and 9 times out of 10 they stay. And after a few weeks, they have the right to walk the grounds and enjoy the view and the medicines around there, and walk on their bare grounds, go in the dome and where the garden is at, and just to have sometimes they need to step away from the group, so that's always a very big possibility. But it is, so when they come to us, which I'll talk a bit later, but I could mention it now, they send us a letter of intent of wanting to come, the reasons why. So when they want to leave because X, Y, Z reason we don't know, we ask them, write it down, talk about it. Because sometimes it's just fear of facing their demons. And oftentimes they come back to us saying, you know what, no, I'm going to stay, you're right. It's difficult. And but it does happen, and then we help them out to make sure that when they go back to their families, that everything is prepared, and they're always welcome to come back and try again. Does that answer your question? Okay. Any more questions? Yes?
So the referral process is self-referral, and do you have a lot of from youth protection workers?
Yes.
I'm assuming?
Our
If they're teens, they're not
yeah.
going to be like, I'm going to
But, and that's true, a lot of the referrals are, social services, NEDAT workers, youth protection, sound jeunesse, things like that. Sometimes teachers, but a lot of it in small communities is word of mouth. Oh, I went to Walgwan, I enjoyed it, and then the parents say, we already did the process. My brother or sister wants to go, or my cousin, my friend. So a lot of it is that, which is great to hear. It's always positive feedback, right? But a lot of it is through like those services I just mentioned. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and what's your waiting time like?
Well, that's a good question I'd like to answer, but right now, our waiting time, well, technically we're on pause until September, but our system is in blocks. So we do block services where we have 6 to 12 youth come in 4 to 3 months, and if sometimes a youth decides to leave before that, or if the youth was not for a 3-month, he came in for a 2-month session or a month session, depending on their needs, then if he or she leaves, another youth comes in during that block. So the wait times can be long to short, but we prioritize the urgency and the need. So if a youth is in a dire need right now because we're concerned for his safety or her safety, and we need to make sure that we promote that person's life, we'll go on the top of the list quicker, obviously, because we know there's an urgency there, but it's on a needs basis. So, yeah. So in your community, what do your youth and family needs in relations to substance use and mental wellness services like ours?
They need the whole program.
They need a whole program?
The facility, and they need everything there. Everything that was on there. They need everything.
Do you guys have a youth program service in your community? No? So your need is, you would consider medium, low, or high?
Right.
High?
Extra high.
Extra high? Would you say since COVID that it increased quicker, the need?
Yes.
Yes. I feel the same.
Sorry, I would say, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I would say that needs increase, but at the same time, our ability to work with youth and for them to consider treatment programs has decreased, because I've been around the block a few times. And I'd say when I first started working at KSCS and working with youth, at the time I was in my 20s still, so and I would say it was a little bit more popular, I guess, to consider going away to treatment, or it was easier for some reason to get the youth to want to go, so we had, and I think Hazel's sitting next to Joe, and she may contribute, or not far from
Yeah, not far.
but yeah, I think we just seem to be able to refer youth before more, to treatment centers. Like I went to your center a bunch of times with youth, and even went back for mid-session, and things like that. I worked with Pam and other workers, and so I'm not sure what the shift is about, where it seems like they're more hesitant to want to do that, or I don't know if it's the services are not there as much. I don't know. It's a discussion to have, because I don't have the answers, but I've noticed a difference.
And that's one of the reasons why we're doing this community engagement, to go out in the communities, and hopefully this evening that some youth come in and some families come in to maybe answer that question from their word of mouth, right? We're trying to adapt. We're restructuring the whole program to make it better for them, but we're going to base it off of their needs, not our thought of like, well, we should do this or we should do that. Okay, but is that what the youth want? And so that's a big question, and hopefully we could get the answers during these few weeks that we're going to do this.
And I also think that with youth, they're gonna depend more on their groups of friends rather than, you know, kind of sharing their hardships with adults or you know, so sometimes I think that's why it's a little bit harder to, like, they will try to manage their whatever within their circle of friends, right? So it takes a little bit of time before that becomes a problem, right? And then we either, like you said, get involved through social services or, you know, and that our usual way of getting involved. But I think now what has happened, like since what Nancy's talking about, like myself too, I have two specifically that I've sent to Walgwan, and now we're, you know, 35 and they're doing well today. I mean, they also had their ups and downs, but they always remember that, you know, the core of what they learned.
So you had two youth come to Walgwan?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So, but like back then, like, you know, obviously over 20 years ago, we didn't have any other kind of resources like that. So it was like, that's all we had at the time. But now we have, like, you know, we've got a little bit, like you said, more funding, more people have been taking on different parts, and youth have been getting involved in different ways, not just specifically maybe in addictions, but you know, get involved with you know, kind of spirituality in the community, and that helps them, you know, so however. So I think today there's a little bit more of like a wide spread of services that we didn't have 20 years ago, whereas we only had, well, so you didn't have a choice.
So that's great to hear that the services has improved, and that could be maybe one of the reasons of this. But yeah, hopefully we could talk to youth this evening in your community to know more about it, what's going on, right? Yeah.
I also have another theory about what might be a potential turn off to the idea of treatment centers, because I work a lot with youth. That's kind of, most of them get sent like my way. And one thing I've noticed whenever I'm having discussions about treatment centers with them, because I bring it up a lot with them, the immediate shutdown I get when I bring it up is the fact that they're not allowed their phones. And I think actually that relates to what Nancy was talking about, because when she was working at that point, cell phones weren't as prolific as they are.
No.
Sorry, these are facts. Because the kids weren't carrying giant satellite phones back then. Now everyone has their cell phone, and that is, with Gen Z particularly, the main form of communication. So the thought of, oh, I'm going to go away for 3 months, and this thing that connects me to my friends, the world, everything, I'm not allowed to access it anymore. So I think that might actually possibly be related to that.
And that's something we're looking at, because we started implementing, like, you know, more technology in the program, but we're also wondering how can we implement it more, because we know that, you know, I know I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, and it's I want, you know, Coco Melon or whatever, and they don't want to watch it on my TV, they want to watch it on their tablet or whatever, which is fine. I mean, I used to watch Sesame Street, you know, but it's not the same thing. So we're starting to implement that. There's great apps for learning languages. I know our teacher Lucy's using that, and she's actually looking at instead of having a classroom to sit down and learning class, to do alternative programming by combining technology, culture, school into one. So she's actually working on that right now. So we can't wait for that result and see what her idea and vision is about that. Because we also noticed that when youth come into class, a lot of youth have a hard time going in normal school. And for us, class is about, what, 2.5 hours? And even if it's not a classroom environment, they still feel like a classroom. So that's what we're also working on. But that's a good point to say that, you know, it's a turn off. Oh, I can't have my cell phone?
Like the minute that comes up,
oh, yeah.
Their automatic call is, no, I'm not going. That's what they say.
And it's not even really for a reason, because this got brought up at the workshop we went to yesterday, was fear of missing out. That's all it is. And it's not anything substantial going on in that teenage world, but to them it is, because that's what their world is centered on. But when we really think of it, they're not missing out on anything. What they need to prioritize is why they're there. And
yeah, and that comes down to the definitions of want and need, right? Because people often go to residential care and they want, but is this something they really desire or need?
Yeah.
You know? So if we start catering to different levels of needs and wants, you know, we won't be able to please anybody.
No, but our goal is to, at least, in my opinion, in our vision of what we're trying to accomplish, is to engulf the basic needs, like the want and need. I want to be better. I just don't know how to do it. So our goal is, okay, let's find needs on how to make it happen. I want my cell phone, but for them it's a need right now, and I get that 100%. Same thing for, I deal with youth all the time, that's my job, right? To sit down with them, hang out with them every day for 12 hours a day. And what I see personally is a little bit what, like you're saying, the want and need. I want to be better, but I need a social life. So I need to hang out with my friends that do drugs and stuff like that, right? So my goal is saying, okay, let's do a harm reduction with you to make sure that when you do hang out with these people, that you're able to control and say, no, not right now, I had enough, or I'm good, or, you know, stuff like that. So it's always hard to find that balance. I had a question back here.
Just a comment.
Comment?
I was going to mention that even as adults, it doesn't change much to take the cell phone away too. I work in a treatment center for adults, and when you have to say, okay, you have to hand in your phone, and they're devastated and like major anxiety, and it's a big issue. But they get their phone 2 times a week, and it's not enough to ask for it all day. It's a problem. It's a known addiction itself.
Yeah, it's another form of addiction for sure.
Yeah, so it's not just the youth, like it's the adults too, like we all have.
Yeah,
An addiction.
I think we're all, unfortunately, if I forget my cell phone at home, I freak out, like, oh my God, I forgot, and I never use my phone and at work.
2 of them.
So that's something to really look at, how we can incorporate technology in our program without them losing access to their social life too.
But also it's the balance with the land-based stuff, because when you do land-based teaching and learning, it's like, it shows you like, really that's all you need. To sustain life, you gotta get back to that, that's all you need. And even as an adult, yes, like when we leave our phone somewhere, where is it? Like, but it's like we forget that just being outdoors without technology is really all people need.
Just like so many times I've taken little hikes, not far, a little 30-minute walk, and that youth had a bad morning, and we go out for that hike, and I don't know what happens. Yes, I know an elder told me we have this connection with nature naturally. Nature heals us even if we don't ask for it automatically, just by walking, breathing the fresh air, hearing the animals, birds, hearing the leaves, and we just walk, and eventually his day's a lot better just doing that. So, and that's true what you're saying, like land is that's why we want to incorporate even more in our program. We do some, but we want to do even more.
Maybe that's part of it, even if teaching them all, like while they're in there, how to use their phone properly, and this way when they leave, they're not, like that phone addiction is kind of like, at least they're aware of what phone addiction is, at least they're aware that maybe you need to take a walk without your phone. Also, what we learned yesterday, part of what we're learning yesterday is also teaching them social media safety.
Social media safety.
All that kind of stuff would be right, like incorporated right into there with technology. But it's teaching them all, again, the word balance, right? It's a balance, and what's positive, what's negative. It doesn't have to be totally removed, because if that's what's stopping them from going, then that's not the answer either.
No.
But there could be teachings along the way.
I agree.
Maybe the first week they're not getting their phone, or the first 2 weeks. I mean, I remember when I went to rehab, usually the first 2 weeks there's no phone. And I went to 6 of them, so they're all the same. There's no phone. Like, you know, back then we didn't have cell phones, but the phone was a big thing. Like, there was a lineup down the hall like, after supper.
I want my phone.
We had little phone cards and. But I mean, it all could be incorporated into the program as part of a teaching and a lesson, because you can also use technology to promote culture in today's society. You know,
And combine both.
Combine both. Art. There's all kind of stuff you could do with it. I mean.
We learn every day.
Yeah. Your universities, they'll show you what they do with that box on your desk there. Text her inbox.
That's good. That's good. Good comments and opinions and discussions regarding that. What are your expectations from a program like ours, like length of program, pre-admission, post-treatment, waiting times, etc.? Because a while ago somebody asked what's the waiting times, but what are our realities and expectations regarding all that?
I would say a long wait expectation is normal. Like everyone anticipates a waiting list of 6 months plus, you know.
Okay.
Aside from the letter of intent, how long of an application do you have to fill out? Because that's
Well, they go on our website. The application form is right on our website. By memory, I think it's 8 pages long, but it asks different information like family history, medical history, what's reasons, name, phone number, referrals, everything, and there's a few consent forms that the youth signs right there for accepting treatment. Then when they come to the center, then we explain the rules and all this other things, and it's not that complicated to fill up. And then once that process is done, we send it back by email to Kayla or Renee, which is, we'll see the names later on if you need contact information. And then they look at all that information, data, how willing is the youth and what's the priority, and then they'll contact the referral, the youth, the family, to start saying, okay, well, you're going to be accepted on this date. Let's work on your transportation with your referral, and how can we set that up, and so forth, and then we go from there.
Sorry, I just had a comment or a question. But I think, you were talking about expectations or wait lists and so on, and I think part of it, in my experience anyways, is like how to engage the youth in a conversation, and not just the youth, but the family, in a conversation about this plan, because it may, for us, not be a big, that much of a big deal, but for them, even 14 weeks or even less is a big chunk of their life, and so I think it's more that process. It doesn't matter, because I think there's need for more prep time with youth, in my opinion. So you may start to discuss it now, and they decide only next year, right? But it's all about, kind of like how to engage like the whole family in that plan, and I think at the time, there was a midway point where family would come to the center and have 4 or 5 days, I think, of intensive treatment. And that, I think, was, in the times it did happen, was a bit of a game changer, because I think for the youth, it's also to feel like, okay, well, I'm not really the problem. Like, necessarily some of my actions may look like I'm the problem, but but there's a bigger thing going on here, and it's, you know, I need my family to also be part of that process of restoring our connection and moving forward, you know?
So you would say that incorporating more family, like sessions, counseling, therapy with the youth, that the families could come and stay at Walgwan, maybe not really at Walgwan, but a little bit further away, so that the youth has their therapy and the family has, and then we combine together kind of deal.
Yeah.
That's something that I was going to ask a question, maybe a slide or two after, but that's something that we're actually envisioning, to have more family, because what happened before, like you were saying, the families would come mid-session for a week or two, have intense sessions with their youth, and it was a huge game changer for real. But since COVID, we've been kind of hands tied, so we decided to do online family circles. It worked, but there's missing a connection when the youth is at the center and their parents or foster care parent, but it was a temporary fix that we could maybe build on, and that's what we're looking at. I heard that some of you guys went to Walgwan, or they had youth going there, and somebody said that they've already been to a treatment center. Like, what made the experience meaningful, but what was missing? That's the biggest thing during your experience with treatment centers, or like ours, or different. What was meaningful about it, but what was missing? That's what we want to know.
I don't know, I'm pretty jealous that I get to go out there.
Thank you. But is there something that was missing in your experience?
Well, I think for myself, as well as what Nancy was saying, is I think it would be not just so much about filling out the application, but more of like an involvement with the family, with your center, as well as helping the families to see what it is that you have to offer there, encouraging them to, let to know that this is a safe place for them to send their child, right, to.
So like a prep kind of thing before coming? Pre-treatment.
With yourselves, with us as, like, say, in my situation, like myself, say, as the worker, that I would be working with the family, because a lot of times, like, we do our best to try, and explain what it's going to be like, what's going to happen, but we don't work there. We're not part of your program. So, and in my own experience is that sometimes, like you said, when you have, like, say, a split family, and then a mom has the child, the father doesn't want the youth to go with, doesn't see there's no problem, the problem's with the mother. So that's where a lot of the work happens, right, is us trying to help the parents to support the youth to go, right? So sometimes in that process would be helpful, to work with, like, we would be working together to encourage that this is, the ideal place for the youth. And not so much just about filling out like an application.
Yeah, that's a great input, which is going to bring me to, I think, hopefully it's the right slide. Whoops. Virtual service.
Sorry, I had one more comment.
Sure, before we get to that, but I'll combine that, what you just said.
And I mean, I don't think what was missing was so much in the center or in the program, so much as a link back home.
Yeah.
Like, once people come back home, it's difficult to maintain the gains when not too much has changed, right? Sometimes it's not within the family, right? Sometimes it's more within the friend circle, or so there's stuff that there's no control over. But I think that whole process,
like
that transition, especially when they're coming from far,
like the aftercare could be improved on, which we do offer aftercare, but you're saying that, from just to make sure I understand what you're saying, the high risk factors coming from fits and all that process that happens afterwards. So That's so true. And
So to involve us, because we do have the benefits of having more services, a lot of services within the community, even though we don't have like a youth program per se. But having more connections with the referrals so that we're very well prepared. Like for myself, I went to graduations, I brought the youth back home. So I was aware of everything that had happened within, but sometimes, people get busy and like there's not a lot of sharing of information. So I think that good networking and good connection between workers,
So for an example, let's say we have a youth that's graduating. Before he's graduating and during his Eagle phase, his preparation, to make sure that we have that connection. Okay, well, you're going to go home. Your referral worker will be taking care of you. We'll be meeting you in a month, 3 months through the internet to see how things are going. But in the meantime, this is the services you're going to be attending. Make sure he's followed or she's followed. We're a counselor, set up a counselor, or like a safety net too, and to have that like really implemented in, because I know it is, but to make sure it's actually, doable and things, because we all have that, and all of a sudden, like you said, people felt busy. But if that's the case, then, it's communication between referral workers and the counselors at Walgwan to make sure that, okay, it's okay, some things are falling in the cracks. Let's fix that crack. Let's fix the crack right away. So.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are families involved in the exiting of the young person or whatever? I remember when I got out a few times, I think that's one of the things I could have benefited from was going back home to my mother's house when I was 18, 19, and how is that dynamic going to work now that I'm coming back in sober? What are her expectations? What were my expectations? And because that's a lot of the times where the arguments would happen. Even my last one, as an older woman, that did along with my husband. The disagreement about what sobriety looked like. Like there was no plan for that on the exit. And sometimes navigating that by yourself and as a young person, you're still trying to figure stuff out. As a youth,
when the youth come in for its few first weeks, they all want to leave. When their program is done, they don't want to leave because they're afraid. They have that fear.
I didn't want to leave when I was 35.
So I know that's something that we as a service need to improve on. We do offer like what you're saying, but I think it needs to be looked at more. So we're hoping that it's a need and a want that the families come to us and that we're able to have them stay longer than a week or two or a day or two, to before, in the middle, during, at the end, to prepare all that.
Yeah, because there's already issues in the house, obviously.
Yeah.
If the young person is using drugs, I mean, it's not
No.
just because.
There's a reason behind it.
There's a reason behind it, and are they able to speak their mind in the home? So, you could bring the youth there, but when they go home, are they going to have a voice?
Yep.
Or did they ever have a voice? Or, you know what I mean? All these
And we heard that
history things, that
2 days ago. They had no voice.
Resurfaced because of that's the dynamic of the house. I don't think points out anything. You're going back to square one.
Yeah, I agree. But with all that, like this question here that's on our board, as a treatment alternative, we're starting to offer virtual services with our counselors, and we've even asked a donor or elder to come and join and do a ceremony and have intake workers, and sometimes we grab our laptop, walk around the center, and we did have a youth when we started it during COVID, I think 1 or 2, did our online program for 8 weeks and said, I want to come. And we set it up. She needed it, and she was successful. And when she arrived, she was already prepared. So that's something that we're maybe looking at, but we don't know if the community and the youth want and need this. I'd like to do online services, and then after that, come in at the center, to combine the preparation, even if it's not a full 8 weeks, 2 weeks, a week, a few online sessions, 1 or 2, to explain, to show, to talk, to meet the workers, to reduce that stress level of coming, that unsureness. So is that something you think would be helpful in your community?
There's definitely pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
You know, coming out of university, out of 2.5 years on Zoom, so when you're looking at family dynamics, you kind of put the financial stressor on low-income homes or limited internet access and capability. You know, prime example here, the internet is wonky.
Same thing for us, it's not just you.
and let alone, you know, having large families and small homes and to conduct proper sessions over Zoom or Teams or however, whatever platforms can be utilized, right? Again, it comes back down to putting extra stressors on families when we use the virtual services, because you know, this is a larger conversation that we had a few months back with some of the native centers that just so happened we decided to close all at the same time for renovations, and you know, the new thing is Zoom, which is great, you know, adapting to modern technology and society, but you know, I think it causes a little bit more damage than it does good. You know, it's great, you know, that the story is shared and there was success in, you know, the pre-planning and prepping through online, but again, it kind of adds a little bit more stigma to those that can't afford internet or even coming here and accessing computers and rooms, accessing rooms and services within here. It becomes a big headache because you know, first line workers or whatever is double booking rooms, and it becomes, you know, mayhem in general. So
Yep.
I mean, for myself as well, you know, I just think that as a part of what happened through COVID, I think that we have so much more platforms of service, which is, I think, was, you know, beneficial. And I, you know, for myself, and again, I think I like the idea that what you say on there is that you ask what would be best, because we're all here, we're all going to have a different perspective of the different type of where they're at in their recovery or in their addiction. So I mean, like for myself, because I started a phone group during COVID, and it's still continuing because they like the idea that they're anonymous. They don't have to see nobody. They don't have to. They can be wherever naked if they want on their phone, and smoke if they want, and nobody's going to judge them, and no one's looking at them, and no one. And we just have this, you know, and we have this group on the phone, and it's been working, and it's you know. So I think the idea, like if you asking, is I think you may get that, you know, different ideas of, because not everybody wants to, you know, come in, especially after COVID. Nobody, it's not that thing anymore. You don't have to come in person. And sometimes youth don't want to. They don't want to. You know, it feels like it's very confrontational. It's very, they're judged, or they, and again, that's their own, you know, not that it is, but that's how they feel, right? They feel judged. They feel ashamed. They feel like, again, the question like Nancy's saying is, you know, there's a bigger problem than me, and I'm kind of here, but I don't think I'm the problem. So I think the idea, I like that you are going to ask them what is best, because I think if you can offer different, you know, different services for different clients, I think that's ideal.
Because to give you an idea, like currently I'm counseling 3 youth online because we temporarily paused their services. They wanted to come. Obviously they were disappointed they couldn't come, but we said, listen, we're going to do this online. And then once we're done, when we open back up, if you're still willing to come and you need it, come. What I found hard was to build that rapport. It takes longer than face-to-face, but it is doable. And I heard, like the camera thing, I know that it's like they want to shut the camera off. And I tend to go, look, all I want to see is your face for just a second and make sure you're there. Because I know even face-to-face, our youth are the hoodie and They want to hide their face, and we see that every day, but we also see that slowly that comes off. Slowly they turn on their camera more. Just by interacting, listening to what they have to say, taking the time. That's what I do every day. Listen and go, oh wow, okay, your opinion matters, and this is what's going on, and all of a sudden it empowers them. And so the first, I would say, few weeks that I'm doing it so far is just that. And then we jump in their wellness and let's prepare this and stuff like that. Like for me, like this afternoon, I'm gonna go see one of the youth since I have the opportunity. He's in Montreal, and because he's an Inuit youth, and I'm gonna go and get that connection. And I told him we're gonna work on your program now. So we had fun, we played games together, we enjoyed the company, laughed. Now it's work. And he went, oh, okay, I'm ready. Great. So hearing that, it's like, okay. So once I'm going to bring that, I said, next session will be online. Then you'll be more comfortable and you'll know what to expect. Because at first it's the shyness, the awkwardness, the shame, the guilt. Sometimes I hear, correct me if I'm wrong, they're afraid to even come to here to get services because of that stigma. And I have a youth up north that is the same situation, wanted to come, and because it was difficult to do at home, parents are there, and a lot of the issues with the parent, the connection there is cut off. Well, I said, let's do it at the health center. Let's do it in class. Oh, they're going to miss class for an hour. Mm-hmm. So if your principal's willing, your teacher's willing, and that kind of like helped too. So we try to do it that way, because in the evening, I tried to do sessions in the evening. The day's done, right? But in the day, it seemed to work. Oh, okay, well, if we could set up a laptop, something, a tablet, just, for a half hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes at a time, and see how it goes. And so far, it's been working, but it's something that we're looking into with the youth to see, is this a want-need situation?
I think like a hybrid is going to be what's best, because technology is the way that everything's moving. But be aware of the barriers, like Cody's saying, the access and everything. But I think the youth do enjoy I hate this word, anonymity beginning part of to be able to be
anonymous
behind a screen and like protected in a way. And then as they go along, they can progress out of it. Because that can even be incorporated into group work, right? If you're, what's those things called? Where you type in your answer and it pops up on the screen. And everyone's, so it's like you can get them to engage in that way, but still have anonymity, and so it's like a hybrid, I think. And obviously, there's times where okay, put the phones away and we're moving on to this, but that's what they're comfortable with. That's the way things are moving. And that's the world that they operate in.
Yeah, because everything is texting. They don't talk to me face to face. Like, I'm born 1980. My teenage years were in the 90s, so the 90s didn't have cell phones. It started, and we had to to go to a party. It was in the beach, and I'm sure the youth in the community here don't do like what we used to do in the 90s.
Well, they don't want to bring them here to use the computers in the counseling rooms that they're looking at it like it's like they're laughing. I don't feel like it's so normal to me,
But that's an idea that we have, and I like to hear that the why not and why, and combine both, and that's a very great idea. Yeah.
For me, because I have two boys that I think I'm gonna pack up and put in your cars. So I have two grandsons actually, and as their caretaker, it's like, why do I have to send these kids away? Why? After coming off of all the residential school stuff as a grandparent, why do I have to send my children away? And I think I'm not the only one that feels that way as a parent or grandparent or caregiver. And that's why I've been working for this organization for 20 years, not in this part, I'm in home care, but I've been asking for this type of help for the community here, and hopefully something changes now, because that's who we are as a people, right? This is who we are. We're not non-native, we're Native people, and this is what the whole community needs. So for me, in my situation where I'm at the end of my rope now and I don't know what to do anymore, I think if I could have that like tomorrow, it would help, because I was just thinking if the wait is till September, or if it's months away, so what am I going to do in the meantime? Because nothing seems to, I have some little help, but it's like it's not enough.
Okay. No, don't be shy at the end or to take the names of our referrals and intake and look at that. And if in the meantime you need online support until we are reopened, to start building that connection with your youth, that's what we're here for.
What are the centers that are presently still open? Besides, I think Charles J. Andrew is open, but I think that would be about the only one, right? For English-speaking communities.
Yep. From what I heard, there's not many centers that reopened after from the YSAC centers after COVID. Like we closed during COVID in March, and then in May or April we had online services up as a trial with counselors, and then in September of that year we were open with the new COVID measures, and then since then, it was an up and down battle, and that's why we said, you know what, let's put a pause, just to reach out to the communities and youth. We feel that the COVID just changed the whole game. And I don't know if other centers are open or closed right now. Like, we're still, residentially we're closed, but we're still offering some services to at least, you know, if it's online for now until that reopen in September, to make sure that we have our all our ducks in a row, to make sure that our program is ready in a new way. We'll take the time for it. And that's what Pam's goal was. So I don't know if the other centers are open in the meantime that are English. That's a good question that I cannot answer, unfortunately. Pam would know more. Or Kayla. But do you guys feel that the culture in the community for the youth, do you think it's becoming a bigger and bigger role? Do you feel that the youth are trying to regain their cultural identity lately?
Well, I was just going to say, not to put down any other center or anything, but a lot of them are very institutional looking and feeling. So I think that's what, like, throw a teenager in there, it's like not warm, it's not.
The institution, the feeling. I remember that feeling because when we had the COVID measures there, I felt institution, like with the mask and the whole get up. And that's we were so happy to remove that once we were allowed. But you think that in the community you're seeing youth, and because I remember for certain people I knew in the day that were my great friends from Giskapegiag, that they were practicing their culture, and they were kind of like, oh, that thing, emotion that I've seen, but we're seeing a regain of cultural interest, and I'm wondering if you're seeing the same thing in your community from the youth. That some youth are like, oh yeah, I would like to try out, beading or basket making. It could just be small things like that, or I'm interested in maybe doing a sweat, or attending powwows, and making my regalia. Are you seeing more and more regain interest in their own cultural identity?
If they're going to school on territory,
Yeah.
or here, the ones that are institutionalized, like in group homes and stuff.
Yeah.
No. Most of them, I have like 3 or 4 that don't even want to come back to town, and that's awful.
Yeah.
That's because they were so disconnected.
The ones that were like in youth homes or group homes and
Homes out of town and
Sound Jeunesse or whatever you call it.
back into the community, and so but the majority I would say in the community is there's a lot more cultural.
And that's a question I'd like to ask the youth, hopefully this evening, or even if we have youth that come from the institutional background, to see if they're interested in learning about who they are, what's their history.
Bat shop.
Pardon me?
Make yourself available at Bat shop.
If I have to reach them online, I'll reach them online. 'Cause
Do it.
that's what we're here for. We'll do it for sure. I just don't.
They're not teaching a lot in there.
That's it. So, because like we came here without knowing. I know we contacted you by email. Like we didn't really know who were the contacts, and you know, if at the end you say, hey, John, go at this place, this is the name. I'll take that name and give him a call. And if I can't do it today, we'll set it up another time or online. And that's what we're here for the next few weeks and months.
Because the thing like that, that's what's the difficulty here is we have the high-risk youth that there's no services.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a lot of the grassroots services that, you know, that incorporate a lot of people that are not really high risk, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the grassroots things that are happening, look, it appears that there's a lot of good things happening, but what a lot of people are not aware of is the high risk, which is the population that we are.
Mm.
You know, that's where there's lack of services or lack of being able to make that connection because we have our own internal problems with that.
And I think for the most part, the culture and the ceremonial aspect is the key component and foundation of the individual. It's not just the youth, but the family as a collective that come in and struggle with the cultural identity. And a lot of them, they speak to institutionalized and colonized, and they want to know and learn the foundations that were given to us millennial, because the westernized theories and ideologies and that way of thinking of theories don't work for us as a peoples. Why I say that is because we're a spiritual people, you know, we're a spiritual being, and that's in the community here, and I could roughly say 85 to 95% across Turtle Island. This is very important, you know, because half the people that request services, yes, they come in for addictions and mental health, but even get into those components of addictions and mental health, they ask, what am I as a Mohawk person, Mi'kmaq, Cree?
Yeah, I've asked a question to a youth, not yesterday, but the day before yesterday, and my question was, are you proud to be a Mohawk? Or do you know what being a Mohawk is? Out of the few youth we had, one of them was like honest with herself, saying, I didn't know. And I was like, thank you for answering. That's what I was unfortunately expecting, but coming from them, from their mouths, has a huge impact. And she was saying that she felt that she had no voice in the community. So that's something that, for me, was a huge eye-opener. And I talked to Pam about it real quick through text there. So hopefully when we get back to the center, we could talk about it more as maybe finding ways to not only learn about, because I know a lot of it is Mi'kmaq culture ways, because our elder is Mi'kmaq, but to see like, okay, what's specific to the Mohawks, right? What's specific to the Algonquins, the Cree, the Innu. So that's something that I was thinking about in my hotel room the other day, like, oh, maybe that's could be very important to go and grab little bits and pieces, because the spiritual and cultural are all very similar on Turtle Island for the First Nations, right? But there's something specific that's Mohawk. What is it? That's something I'm curious about, and maybe Donna would know, maybe an elder in the community to share the differences. That's another possibility that we're always trying to improve on, and that it really excited me hearing that, saying, oh, that's a point we didn't look at in our vision.
There's a lot of adults that can answer that question either.
Well, that brings up the whole discussion of identity, which is a touchy subject, because there's the element of shame of not knowing your language and your culture. So if you go into a center that offers that, it's like, great, we offer this service to cater to you. But it's like, but I didn't even grow up with that.
Yeah.
And there's that shame and not willing to participate because you feel the shame, and so that's a whole other discussion. But like having that, you're saying like your center is like Mi'kmaq based, so like having the Haudenosaunee like culture, language, and stuff like that would be helpful for the people from the community that go there. But in the end, the similarities of drums and ceremony and medicines, it's universal.
It's universal, yeah.
Land, working on the land, so there's things that work across the board, even to non-Indigenous people.
Yeah.
So it's like, but still have those elements in there. Maybe they want to hear social songs from us, and
that's something that would be great to have, like, somebody like songs from your community that we could teach and learn to ourselves and share with the youth from your community. Like, even if they never heard it before, they kind of heard it, and that's why, like, our elder Donna, especially for the sweats, because of that fear and what is this, what is that, takes his time. And if the youth doesn't want to participate, well, we will ask him to be on the grounds, just to hear and feel what it is. And just do prayer and teach them how to pray. What's the reason from each direction and so forth. So we're working hard on, we're doing it, but we want to do it even better.
And there's a lot of videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Traditional, well, we don't say some people say Iroquois, but Haudenosaunee content, songs and language lessons and stuff. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube.
And I know our teacher is a YouTube, Google user a lot for the youth, because we'll present videos and stuff like that. But yeah.
How many hours a day during the day do you get schooling?
Pardon me?
The school, like how many hours?
2.5 hours a day.
2.5 hours.
And that's in the morning, but right now she might completely change it to incorporate. She is already incorporating a lot of culture in her teachings and combines it with, school. But she's trying to go away from the traditional school system to be a teacher in math, French, on the board, to be more an alternative program completely, to have a school program that not only, because they're not there for school, but we have to teach them something during, and not only doing therapy and whatnot. That's therapy is a huge part, but she wants to try to incorporate all that and make it fluid. Because
I can share something right now, because these 2 boys that I have are expelled from the high school. Apparently they were hot, which, I don't know, anyway, they got expelled. So the education center set up classes for them Monday to Thursday from 9:30 to 12, which I had told them previously, I can't do it, I'm working. They don't want to go, and where they set it up was in a courthouse, so when they go in, they see the word courthouse, and they go in the basement. And I let it go, but I can't now because, anyway, they don't want to go. I'm tired of fighting with them to go. And so apparently they said that, one or both was vaping in the bathroom. Okay, so now they cannot use the bathroom. If my grandson called me from work and said, I want to come pick you up, I'm like, no, I'll wait till 12. So when I got him, he said that he had to go pee outside because they're not allowed to use the bathroom, and he went on his clothes a little bit. And this is 2023. And this is a non-native person telling them you cannot use the bathroom because you're putting the whole building at risk of using their building. So that's why I was asking, like in between somebody getting admitted, and you only have 12 beds, so there must be a big waiting list from all the different communities, or?
The waiting lists are ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah, that your story touched me there. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I would I would like to give you a straight answer, but I personally don't know how long is the waiting list right now, currently, as we state. Probably because we're on pause, the waiting list can be shorter than normal because
How long does the pause? Are you renovating or something?
well, we're also, yeah, we're going to try to renovate our kitchen at the same time since we're on pause. We need a kitchen update. But we're on pause mostly to do what we're doing today. That's the big goal. And after that, once we're all done our community visits and engagement sessions, all the survey codes that you have, we'll take all, and the conversations, everything, like Cheryl in the back's like taking some notes real quick as much as she can. She's like, snack time. But we'll take all that information from all the communities and try to analyze everything, and then, okay, this is our vision, this is what we're seeing, the community's want and needs. Okay, let's try to rebuild our program with a strong foundation after 25 years of service, or more now, I'm almost 26, I think, to modernize it to a 2.0 version. That's how we called it. Walgwan 2.0. Sounds like for youth, it's 2.0. So the waiting list right now can be very short. So I can't personally answer you that. The people with the names I'll show you at the end there, recommend you taking their information down and give them a call or an email.
Gigi, how old are your boys? 13 and 14?
So,
Sorry, how old are they again?
13 and 14? Okay. So, talking, yeah, I have a,
I was just wondering, like, say for that, like, could she send applications in right away, and then that way there's...
Yep, it's an application right away, which I'm going to talk about right now. And so, the biggest first thing is explore our website, look at it with your youth. You know, and if more information is required, reach out, phone numbers there. We have a 1-800 number. We explore like the different program options virtually, inpatient, evaluate whether it's the right service. You know, if additional services like we say in the community, it might be, you know, a combination. If you have a NADAP worker or somebody like, you know, Cindy, that have already went through the process in the past, things are changed, but it pretty much similar. And for the referrals, and then if steps 1 and 2 are made and the youth is like, yeah, I'm good, let's do this. We have the forms right on our website. Then our intake worker will receive the admission request and revise it to ensure all the information is there and there's nothing missing. There may be required small additional informations, and that it's just to make sure we have a big picture. And then pre-admission will be made. Meeting will take place with the youth to determine the level of motivation also. Because we all say, yeah, I need my youth to go, but is he or she motivated to do something like that? And to explore their needs too and their wants, to make sure that they're placed on the waiting list on order of priority. So we obviously look at risk factors and protective factors. That's a big thing. And when finally is everything accepted, we then reach out and by phone, and we also send an official letter to make sure with the date is provided. And the first thing we do is a family circle right out of the gates to know I've participated in that. And family circles, that the first one is very simple, smooth. We do a genogram to know the family history, just to break the ice. Because sometimes people could be shy and awkward and talk about their family history, but we don't want to go too much in detail at first until they're comfortable. But it's just to have a picture of the youth background and history, and it gives us an idea who's the referral person in their family, who's their support system, and stuff like that. So that's a little bit about our referral process. Time's going fast, we're talking a lot. I know we've already talked about like your process right now in your community. But you have services already in place. But from what I've just shown you and talked about the referral a bit, as much as I know, do you think it's something that's realistic to be done? Or we need to modify things? Yep.
Are you guys going to keep your cohort model going forward, or are you going to do rolling admissions?
That's what we need to look at. Because, and the question is based from...
No, just wondering.
Okay.
When it's cohort model, there's like, okay, there's the amount of time you have to wait, but if it's rolling admissions, there's always the possibility that there's an opening.
Yeah. So that's what we need to look at. Do we go back to continuous or block or semi-block continuous combination? So that's what we're actually going to look at. And depending on what's doable and what's realistic and what's the success rate. Our goal is to make sure that we have a high success rate with the youth, right? Any other comments for that slide? Yeah?
Actually, just an add-on. If maybe like it just pops in my head, like a mixed model where it's like, you can start with a cohort, whether it's full or not, have it going, and then having beds for ongoing admissions. And then that, because then there will be folks who will be more like advanced in the program than others. And then that could almost add as an additional support in terms of like peer support, where it's like, oh, I've been here for a month already, you just showed up, you're scared, I literally just went through this, and then that could create that sort of peer solidarity that might actually improve outcomes from the program.
We've looked at that a bit, we tried it a bit, even in our blocks, because like when a person leaves, because reasons that they either finished earlier or whatever, sometimes we bring a youth in real quick as an emergency services, and that we ask a youth that's almost done, like, hey, we are comfortable with this youth showing the right way and the routines and stuff like that, and actually is more beneficial that way than us showing the youth the routines and everything. So that's something that we want to look at, if we could actually make it more structural, because it was just like a trial run kind of thing. So, as most of you guys are like frontline workers, or or social workers or whatnot, what do you need from us to ensure that we have an effective continuum care for youth and families? What's your guys' need here today from us? To ensure proper care.
Well, I think for myself is that continue, relationship between, your center and.
I think that's and of course, like what Gigi was saying before about ultimately it would be great to also learn from you as to how you're delivering certain services, so that maybe one day we could also have more of a day program, maybe for youth, or evening program, or facility, or so sharing of knowledge and experience as well.
So just to make sure that for Cheryl in the back to hear, just to repeat everything, make sure I understand properly. From what I'm hearing is you want a stronger relationship from here and ours, sharing of knowledge, programs, safety protocols. If something happens, but we contact not only the families, because we do contact the family if an incident or accident happens, and but also contact the referral person at the same time, say, okay, this has happened, I contacted the family, this is what we're going to do, and be even more transparent. And regarding these situations, but not only that, you want to make what your need is to work more together and not in a separate kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. Collaborative. And I think like if ever you do implement more family time within the program, for sure, like we would definitely do our best to make sure that family gets there and provide the funding necessary for the family to benefit from that piece of the program, because I think it's key, right, in the youth's feeling good about what they're doing and reintegration at home. So so that's another piece that we can definitely, like I said, discuss at a later time. But because there's the transportation and the lodging and all of that stuff, right? So.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, from my experience, transportation can be difficult, lodging, and that's why we're like, okay, well, we have a vision for a new center with maybe incorporating families and bring them over, and we have this huge dream. We just hope that that's what the communities need. That's the big thing. So now that we heard a bit and everything, do you have any concerns, questions that we didn't mention yet or talked about? Yes.
I wanted to ask something back about the virtual delivery of services. Are you guys incorporating any process of like universal design for, say, certain youth who might have disabilities like ADHD, and sitting in front of a computer for like an hour for a session is super, super difficult? And what ways that you can possibly engage and mitigate those kind of accessibility needs?
That's a very good question, because we're still in a trial run for virtual care, and actually, instead of doing an hour session, I have a youth that I don't know if he's ADHD, but I noticed he's very short attention span. So instead of doing an hour, I did 30 minutes. And instead of going deep dive in treatment, it's fun and games by learning. Showing small videos. Let's talk about the video. Oh, okay, the 30 minutes are done. I'll see you in 2 days and see how things are going, and so forth and so forth. So that's something that we need to actually clinically look at in depth, because I'm just the first one to try it out kind of thing, and step in and go with my experience and my feeling from, okay, maybe an hour's too long, let's try to shorten things down. And like we did our big mega questionnaire at first there, what we call DUCY. I don't know if you guys have that there, but that takes a long time. So with him, I said, instead of doing it, we just did it multiple shots, and instead of reading, we just talked about it and try to make it simple. So that's something we need to learn and adapt to at the same time. I think with experience, in our experience with dealing with youth with that situation with ADHD, is to learn more about it and to build on it. So we'll see how I do.
I think for myself is that for myself and my own experience, I think that it's also important that it's not so much just about the filling out the application, but more about having that interview with, like, say if it's you and it's me and I have a client, so that I can explain to you, like, these are the things that we've been doing, like, like, say, for example, like one client, a lot of it's through music.
Yeah.
There's a lot of music, there's a lot of songs, there's a lot that's what he relates to, and that's what he shares with. So, if he was able to share that with you, you're not gonna write all that down. I can't, there's just some things you just can't express in a referral, right? So I think that for that part, I think is important. Sometimes there's a lot of misinformation when you're just doing it. I mean, I understand the practical part. I mean, the general application we do, but I think when it's more about the assessment of the transferring of, me to you, when we sit here, we prepare them in their bundle so that we can bring it to you. But there's a lot of gifts that they bring, and I think it's important that that process is more through like a virtual rather than like a writing process.
Okay, so that needs to be like maybe improved a bit, I would guess, from what you're saying, instead of just questionnaire. Sit down and talk with the youth, but with the referral, and then talk about, like, saying he needs music, he needs this, but how, this is what we've done, and that's something. Any more comments, questions, opinions? Yes?
You mentioned aftercare. I was just wondering, say for somebody like aging out, did you ever have that in your, like, in the treatment where they're 17, like possibly maybe in that few months turning 18?
Yeah.
Like, you don't just drop them.
No.
As client. Like, how long do you follow them afterwards?
We followed the 2 years.
Okay. So say in those 2 years relapse and you feel they need more treatment, like, I guess you would do referral at that
Yep.
point
To another treatment center. I've also referred to, next door is the Mauiomi Treatment Center, which one of your colleagues knows very well about from what I heard a while ago. So oftentimes you go, okay, you went through the Walgwan process, it was going good, you slipped and fell, it's okay, we'll help you to pick back up, we'll contact wherever we need to contact in the community, like we did to come here, like make phone calls, emails, whatever, and because they were our client youth. So for sure we'll try to find somebody, because I just did it not long ago personally with one youth in Labrador that I felt through my aftercare needed support immediately. So I called the health service and I said, send somebody there, I feel there's something up. And they did. And I spoke to her after and she was a lot better. So we do that too.
You could also send them to Onondaga Healing Lodge. The outreach worker there, I'll give you my card.
No problem. So yeah, again, we're restructuring. We're even hiring. That's a continuous situation in every community about, personnel. But, in the restructuring process, some people, be moved around. Okay, you were here, we're going to put you here and stuff like that. And we might need more services because we're thinking to expand. So we might need more counselors, more educators, and so forth. So, if you ever would like to find a job in our area, don't be shy.
How good are your benefits?
Poaching people, like, we need them too, though.
I'm sure it's the same thing for you guys on the other side.
I heard that, Cody Martin.
So, before you take the time to complete the survey is only 4 minutes long. These are our main contact person. I know Nancy, you already know Pamela Sherlong. She's currently doing the same thing in Kawawa, in that area. Kayla Gideon is a clinical advisor, and Renee Dimmick is our intake person, outreach and aftercare. So you could also look at our website, our 418 number. There's also a 1-800 number on our website. So please, right now, take your little 4 minutes and please fill up our QR code survey. And I want to thank you very much for your time and listening and talking. And the boxes in the back, there's...
Oh, we have, did everyone fill out a little paper with their name on it for a draw? Did I get it? I did, I don't think everyone did.
We have a little draw.
Wait, I think we can, and then thanks.
Okay.